Welcome to Film Study, an all-American podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, rate the podcast 5 stars, all that good stuff. Guess what? People have been begging me to do this for ages. The podcast has been on for like a year and a half at this point, and I've never gone back and reviewed season 1. But not only are y'all going to get me reviewing season 1, but y'all going to get Arlon of our Lizzie Reactions and Naj.
Yes.
To review season 1 with me in batches. So we're going to do them in batches of the 4 episodes, and we're going to do the first 4 right now. And we got to do this. We got a lot to talk about. So we're going to hop into it right now. First off, let me do a quick summary of what happened, because the other thing that's happening is like it's going to be impossible to do this without spoilers. There's like no way we could do this without spoilers. So I'm going to give a little rundown of what happened in all 4 episodes. So whoever's watching, if you're like watching and you haven't watched the show yet, watch all the way up to episode 4 and then come back. But before I do this, let me say this. As I've been rewatching this season and I went back and looked at some like old interviews with NK and stuff, there's some things that like she's been very clear about, bruh. She said, because there's been a couple of critiques of the show. Number one, this is something she said all the way back before the season even premiered. All American is just a show that happens to have football in it. And it will speak to high school football culture, but it's much bigger than that. It's really about the fight off the field. She also said one thing that's important to us is that we show that we not leave Crenshaw behind. But listen, I'm also one of the ones that's like, why are we still in Crenshaw? She was like, no, we not gonna leave that behind. She said before the show premiered on the CW.
The struggle don't stop, and we see
the struggle don't stop. So listen, she told us a long time ago. That's all I had to say. But yeah, she took over as showrunner pretty early. I want to say it's probably sometime around episode 8 or 9 she took over. But anyway, getting into the first 4 episodes, essentially a breakdown, and then we're just going to share our general thoughts about the episode, then go into each episode individually. Spencer moves to Crenshaw after being reluctant to do so. He's a wide receiver, but Billy changes his position to a safety and he plays defense. Jordan and Asher, who's Jordan is Billy's son and Asher is his friend, get him into trouble on the field, then off, because he ends up having to move to Beverly, right? And he also has to move to Beverly, moves in with Billy and Jordan and the rest of the Bakers. Spencer and Olivia. Our faves. We see an instant connection between him and Billy's daughter, who also happens to be Jordan's twin. But he and Layla also have some eyes on each other, who is the lonely rich girl of Beverly Hills. Jordan realizes what it means to be a black man in America and wants to connect with his roots, which Billy is sort of trying to step away from and has stepped away from for the past couple of years. Coop comes out to her mom, but then gets kicked out. She also gets involved in the gang life after Spencer leaves, which I don't even know if I introduced Coop, but Coop is Spencer's best friend from Crenshaw. Olivia and Layla, after starting off a little standoffish, try to get their friendship back on track because they're childhood friends. Olivia and Asher have a secret. Asher is also Layla's boyfriend. And Billy and Grace also have a secret, and Grace is Spencer's mom. So there's a lot. There's a lot in the first couple episodes. But one thing I'm going to say off the bat, just as an overall non-spoilery thing, is the music was A+.
Yeah.
You put it back into the music, like it made the scene, and I'm gonna hold you. I was like, okay, this is kind of fire. Even though it had this
facts,
like this intense scene, they got this music blasting in my ear, but it was fun.
Yes. yes. But what did y'all think about the first 4 episodes? No spoilers, and then we'll get into spoilers in a second.
Intense, because like it's kind of reminds me of how when I watched it for the first time like a few years back, I was like never introduced to this type of intenseness. I didn't watch One Tree Hill or Gossip Girl, so this was my first like drama filled show, and it had me growing gray hairs. Even rewatching it is so much drama that I'm like, bro, I can't watch this. Like, there is no way that you think you're like, okay, well, this is cool. Then a plot twist comes, and another plot twist comes, and then you're like, what? So, like, me watching it, like, a few days ago, I've been watching, like, them, every day. I'm just like, this is intense. Like, how did anyone just be like, okay, we're cool? Like, Spencer, he got it. Because I could not. I could not. I would have been like, sir, this is not, I'm from Crenshaw. I'm going to stay here.
Right.
No, but I think it's the same. Like, it's so much drama, especially in the first 4 episodes, because I feel like they weren't sure if they were gonna get another season, so I feel like they just jam-packed it with a bunch of drama and like just so much. There's so many different things, like just and just developed it. I think they developed it really well though, and even though it was a lot of drama, I feel like they did it like the best that they could, and like the best I've seen a lot of shows do. Because I have watched a bunch of teen dramas. And I think this is one of the best. And when I was watching it, it reminded me of One Tree Hill a lot. And I loved it. And I think it's really good. And all the secrets and stuff, I like that. And I liked how they came out. And I feel like I just liked how they did that in the first 4 episodes. They just built it all. They built it really well.
Yes, the relationships. They built the world. Yeah, the world building, I think, for this show is, especially the first 4 episodes, is like second to none. And that's coming from someone who, it's no secret for like people that listen that I did not like. The first 4 is not the first 4 that I saw. I like started with like episode 9 or something, then had to go back. But I really, really appreciate how well they built out this world for like the audience to understand, and all of the dynamics like within it.
Yeah, like the first 4 episodes, they already established like people's storylines, their personalities, their potential storylines in the upcoming seasons. It was definitely good to see that they already knew what they wanted each character to do as far as like season 1 going, compared to like other shows where they just make up storylines as they go. You already knew what tropes or like what like personalities were going to be like emphasized within this couple episodes, and you see it. And even like them meeting each other, seeing how some of them are even calling it out to us as well as we're seeing it, was very good. So
I agree. And from this point on, spoiler alert, because I don't know when we're going to drop spoilers for future episodes or not. So I'm just, because I wanted to say something. Something that I also appreciated as we shift into the pilot is I think that specifically with the this is a really good relationship dynamic show. And so with the relationships, especially with where we are right now in season 5, you really see the groundwork for a ton of different dynamics that we see at play like way later on in the story. And that one of those things is starting with like Spencer and Olivia. So it's all like really, really good stuff. But episode 1, the pilot. We were talking about this right before I started the recording. But I totally forgot that they literally had someone die at the football game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't know if Spencer was so immune to it because he was still cheering like, yeah. Well,
exactly.
Like, he said, this shot ain't gonna stop my shine. For real.
Legitimately. And the thing is, I thought it was just gunfire and people like scrambling around, but then the camera panned and it was literally like some guy killed, like
the drop. The drop was fast.
Like right outside the fence. It was
I think when because I watched it from the beginning, like when it first aired, and I was like, wait, what the heck? And it was crazy. I was like, what the heck?
They wanted you to know that this is where nobody's safe. Like, he was just trying to watch a football game. He just made it to the end too. So I was like, yeah, this is when you know she's about to hit the fan. So
that's like scary. Imagine playing and like you just hear that. And that was crazy.
And you're introduced to like this whole like Spencer world though, because he didn't want to tell his mom about that. It took Billy to tell Grace about the situation because he already knows how dangerous it is being in Crenshaw in this environment. So him like keeping these certain secrets from his mom, it makes me seem like how many times has this happened to where Grace doesn't know like the severity or like danger it is to play at like a field, that it might be a shootout anywhere. So off the bat, he's out there lurking, and he already witnessed this. He said this is the same shit.
Were we surprised that Billy was so calm about the gunfight? Which I know he was just like, "Oh, I'm from this area," but I feel like
still you should be a little worried. It's like
and I think especially because. Right, and how we're introduced to him at this point in the story, he's been away from Crenshaw for so long that it was kind of surprising that he wasn't at least a little bit like this is why I left. Like,
but I mean, his dad does live there, so maybe he's a little used to it. That's why. But still, it's like you should still be a little worried for your life.
Yeah.
Each episode, like Jordan mentions it, and he didn't kind of hint that he visits a lot, but. I at least would have thought he would have said, like, do you know him? Or, like, ask Spencer any type of question. Instead, he was like, hey, you want to join our football team?
Yeah, it was...
Shot, but...
Well, yeah. Yeah, to that point, I say, like, this pilot feels very, very much like a pilot in the terms of, like, it's a really, really great pilot. I think like, a lot of people were hooked on the show from this pilot, so it was excellent. Mm-hmm. But I love that the show has become, like, less heightened over time. Because, you know what I mean? In terms of, like, we're not getting, like, people dying, like people being killed by gang fire.
Yeah.
Listen, the closest we got to the drag is Coop. That's the
right, or like Dylan saying, oh, there's 150 active gangs in LA. Like, even the dialogue was just very, very heightened. Like, oh, my cousin raised hand-me-downs. Like, it was this whole freaking thing.
Like, they wanted you to know what Crenshaw was about.
They were just like, gangs, violence,
they said,
poor,
weed. Money. I'm just like,
literally bongs. Let's not forget the bongs, right?
Oh yeah.
Color red. Like, literally had Jordan this episode.
Oh my god, Jordan is.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Crips or Bloods.
Yeah. Asher is going down for that.
So eventually, obviously, Grace forces him, right, to go to Beverly, essentially. Which, by the way, side note, Dylan was so small, and it's so weird to see him.
He grew up so fast. Like, he literally, it's crazy, though. Like, it seemed like he was, like, 6 or something when they first started. Now he's, like, 20.
Exactly. Facts.
And he's talking about comic books, and now he's a grown man.
Literally. It's been great to watch him grow up. But yeah, so Billy ends up going to Beverly Hills, and he tells himself, "Welcome to Beverly Hills." Which obviously Liv says at the end, "Welcome to Beverly Hills, Spencer."
I feel like everybody said it. I think Layla said it once. Like,
literally.
Like giving it in. They was like, yeah, we're not at Crenshaw, we're at Beverly Hills.
literally.
Like, just roll the credits. How many times it said Beverly Hills?
No, exactly. Like, well, exactly. And it was right. And some of the dialogue just makes me laugh. I love Spalivia's first moment where it's like his first class. They were talking about chromosomal DNA, and she's like, "Oh, you can share with me."
Yeah, that person was trash. Whoever he was sitting at
was trash.
Didn't he move his computer over closer to him?
He did. But that's what I'm saying. But like, even the line of like, "Oh, keep watching that Logan Paul feed" is just so cringe, bro. Like, I just can't.
He was popular back then, like the chokehold he had.
He was.
That's crazy.
It was so wild. Obviously, yeah, it's crazy. And then he goes on to like meet the whole crew. Obviously, they do that little intro for Layla, Lonely Road as she's walking, right? Also, like, rumor has it she and Malia smoked pot last year.
Like, they was giving that tea, and then they never talked about it again. Like,
literally, I was just like, I forgot that they said Layla smoked pot, because literally never has that ever come up again, ever.
Yeah.
Like,
they wanted you to just hear everything. They wanted you to
exactly. They were just like, let's just throw some things and see if it sticks. At this point, it didn't stick. It did not stick. Layla does not do pot that we know of.
I was like, she hasn't touched pot at all. Like, anything.
Literally.
Like, why was she not at the party doing that? Like,
even at the party, right? She wasn't smoking. She was just like, oh yeah. She was like watching other people do drugs, not judging them, but she was just like,
so who?
Yeah.
So who lied?
Nah. I think she, honestly, let's be real. She probably did pot with Olivia, right? Like that's all Olivia knew.
Sample. They probably like, not for me, but
preseason. No, I mean before she went to rehab, she was probably smoking pot with. Like they were probably smoking pot together. Let's be real. It was a sophomore year thing. They've never touched it since.
They said let's do it together.
That's so funny. But yeah, we said they're very clear in this episode about this is Crenshaw, poor, this is Beverly Hills, rich.
Lavish.
The Baker's house? I didn't know that they had 2 islands at whatever house that they were using.
And they had a chef.
And a chef. And the basketball court. Did we see the basketball court? Because I'm like, never again have we seen a basketball court.
Yeah. No.
They screwed that out. They must have been
Well, that's the thing. Is like they made it seem exactly like the house, whatever house that they shot in for the pilot when they did the set. But I was just like, I did not know that this house that they shot in had like 2 islands, like a basketball court on the other side. It was huge, wherever they found.
Because you think about it, I'm like I feel like I'm so used. It's been so long. I thought the house was still the same, and then I'm like, what?
Yeah, and they did a really good job with like replicating it.
They did, because I had never expected that. I thought it was the same.
Yeah.
Like it was on the basketball court, so I wouldn't have even known it was a difference. But when I saw that maid with the rewatch, I was like, oh,
the maid. We need to. That's the real question of the series, and where did the Baker's maid go?
They couldn't afford it anymore, you know. After Laura lost her job and all that.
Honestly, Laura probably let her go because she was just like, it's not a good look. I'm running for DA. It's not a good look if I have a chef.
I was gonna say DA probably was like, you're probably going to be minding my business and telling behind the scenes scoop, so you're fired.
Yeah. As soon as that the campaign came out, we didn't see the chef again.
She took her recipes and dipped. I've never seen her
literally the gazpacho recipe.
Goodness. The morning breakfast shenanigans.
Literally.
Gone, but
facts.
God, like when Spencer met the group, specifically Asher, you already knew the rivalry was going to start, because the instant Spencer was out here with Olivia and Layla. The chemistry was chemistry, but Asher just knew that he wasn't going to like Spencer for some reason.
Yeah.
And
as soon as he said he played wide receiver.
Yeah, I was like, oh, word? And then he said something about some Bloods and Crips, and I was like...
Right.
Oh, my God.
And what tells me that JJ was even the one that was like, whoa.
I was going to say that. They have definitely, like, dumbed JJ down over the course of the season, because he was not... I mean, at least in the first... You can sort of see it as we get into... I want to say it's, like, episode 4. It's, like, 4 or something. Is Asher's party or something like that, but they definitely dumbed JJ down a little bit.
Yeah, they definitely did. Like, even when he was like, even then, like in the earlier season, he still was drinking alcohol, but it wasn't so bad.
Well, it wasn't like now.
So,
but even like, I feel like he was smarter. Like, he was really smart in the pilot. He was just like, oh, Asher doesn't know about this. He wasn't like, oh, guys, like Spacey. He was just normal. They made a lot of changes. They made him a joke. No pun intended, actually. They were just like, oh, we just need him to be the party guy. We don't need you to be serious. It doesn't work out well with what we're doing.
Bringing the jokes, I guess, because everybody else is serious right now. So like Asher, he was jealous down, and the fact that he was just they didn't even get on the field yet, and he was just a hater. Like, I'm like, worry about football. Worry about how y'all wasn't winning yet at all. Y'all weren't winning yet at all. And you got mad that he's trying to help y'all win.
Yeah.
Like the scrimmage, like how they, like, God.
No, I hated that scrimmage. I hated what Jordan and Asher did.
Asher did to him.
Yeah,
They messed him up at the party. It was.
I'm surprised he didn't actually try and fight
He
them.
couldn't get it. He couldn't get into fights. Remember?
Yeah,
Day one, no
he
fights.
couldn't do anything. So like,
and he did try, right?
Oh
Billy
yeah, he did try.
away.
So.
But like you're seeing Spencer try to adapt to this new environment, which is like two people going against him for literally no reason. But with Jordan, it's understandable because he's like, dang, I've been like doing this for my dad's approval, and he gives it to this guy who just shows up from Crenshaw.
And the no potential, right? And nobody has half of Spencer's potential.
Yeah,
on the team.
He kept hearing like all of like Billy's butter up talks about how Spencer's going to bring it home and give him a dub, and so he's already like, with him it's understandable. With Asher was like pushing and provoking Jordan to do this stuff. Because, like, he was over here like, oh yeah, well, have fun watching from the sidelines because I took your position. Like,
but it's so weird though, because you can't, like, there's two wide receivers in football, or there's multiple on the field at the same time.
So it was really weird that Asher, but honestly, I'm sure that they had heard about Spencer, because with one of the first things Layla said to him was like, aren't you some crazy good football player? So like news traveled, I'm sure, with Jordan that he was like this amazing football player.
But it would make Jordan look good, because if you have better players that you're throwing the ball to, it's going to make you look good. So that's why I don't understand why he went through.
I think it was about his dad. I think it was Jordan was about his dad, whereas with Asher, it was just about his position, which I feel like didn't it wasn't like a strong enough reason.
I feel like after watching episode 4 again, I kind of see, well, I don't justify Asher in any position, but I think the reason why he went harder for his spot, because of episode 4, he said he wanted something to stay the same because of what he lost. So maybe him losing that spot would have been like him losing everything, but he's still trash.
He's definitely trash in this episode.
He did not have to go that hard at Spencer at all, especially like just because he wasn't really even on the team yet. Like he was just getting like trying new spots and seeing what flows right for the team. Like it wasn't like Billy was specifically changing the positions just to fit him in. He was just trying to see where he like fits in, even changing Spencer's position and making Spencer mad. And Asher was just hating. I'm just like, what about saving your relationship, cheater? Please. Get out of here.
Well, the thing with that is, I think part of that reason is like, again, this pilot was very very heightened, and it was like very like they really had to like put it in our face, like this guy is bad, this guy is good, and so that's a lot of what we got in the first episode. And to that point, I think that like with Spencer, one of the funny things about Spencer is like how cocky he is in season 1 and in the pilot, right? Him literally coming to Billy and be like, "Hey, what you mean you changing my position?"
In front of everybody too. Yeah, like
he didn't care. He was like, "You brought me."
Literally.
I'm like, "Can you relax? Why are you telling the world your tea?"
Yeah, like that would never happen.
Stop.
Like,
and that's why
girl.
Asher to be like, he definitely had to get something to get here because Spencer told the world.
One of the things that bothers me is how much he just tells his business to anybody. My mom can't afford that. Like, shut up, sir. Just like be quiet.
That's why in the previous episodes people kept talking about him being poor because he kept telling
literally because he tells it anybody any chance he gets. My cousin raised hand-me-downs. You don't need to tell her this, Spencer.
I have to get 2 buses to get here. That's
literally.
Please.
When I tell you this episode was literally about being like, Crenshaw is poor. It was just so hilarious. Like, bro.
It was like, Spencer upgraded because that's poor land. I'm like,
literally.
As if Grace and everybody's still not living there.
Right.
They're just like trash. And then you got Beverly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Beverly.
Right.
Fancy mansion while Spencer's over talking about something. I can't live like this. It was wild, but
yeah, it was really wild. It was really wild.
Like him upgrading and then like Coop still staying and struggling.
Yeah.
That was wild, especially with like Coop trying to figure out the Sean thing. Like that was.
Honestly, I'm glad you brought that up because getting into the ending of episode 1, shifting into episode 2, I feel like this is one of the scenes is that scene with Coop and Spencer by the swing, where it's like that's the bread and butter of All American, is like them chilling and talking about how difficult it is for Spencer to live in both worlds, and she's just like, you know what, like you need to do this for yourself. You need to not be the hero, like she wants from day one. Like you need to do what's best for you, Spencer. And then it has like those sort of side by side scenes of Spencer moving in, Layla sitting alone, Coop joining Sean in the gang because Spencer's not there anymore, and then obviously like that welcome to Beverly Hills, obviously, and then the bomb of like Billy going to Grace and being like, we need to.
That was wild. That was wild. I remember watching it, man. I was like, bro, like. I thought automatically like, yo, they were like, it was like his son. That's what I was thinking immediately.
So well, like they're like,
the
secrets and plot twists that they did were just so perfectly done to where like you're like, okay, well maybe it is. And then I was like, nah, because.
And I remember all of Twitter was like going crazy. Like they were like, oh my god, because we were already starting to ship Spalivia at the time, so it was like, oh crap. So
especially. Go ahead.
During that time, so like, how mad I would have been on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't think I could like watch that in real time. Well, I could and be like, but they were in the trenches.
It was wild. It was a wild time.
You imagine the theories that people said during that time?
I know.
No, there was a lot. And it was all about because when Jordan brought up the whole thing, it was like everybody was going through so many theories, and then it was just crazy. Just so many different things.
Imagine. Because like I'm a diehard Olivia, here and like have that be a theory after no, it would have been down.
Well, the thing is like they just kept going with the theory in episode 2 too. It's like Coop's getting more into the gang life. Which can we talk about Coop for a second?
Yeah. Coop is a funny character, as I should say, because 1 minute she's giving like. Spencer to talk about not trying to be the hero, and then she tries to do it over here in Crenshaw in some degree. Well, something provokes her to do it, like in like 3 and 4, but like right now, she's trying to give this advice to Spencer about at least trying to adapt and figure out what's going wrong to where maybe the reason why the team is
and protect Spencer by telling him to go to Beverly.
and like making and trying to have him see from the perspective of maybe the football team isn't liking you because of your attachment to Crenshaw. While she's out here, even though she's protecting Spencer, she's, what she's doing is bringing herself into a world that's dark and extreme and clearly lasts for too many seasons because the intensity of her drama. But, I mean, it was nice to still see her, like, care about Spencer because now, looking at their friendship, it's kind of wild. But,
I mean, their friendship in season 1 was great. Like it was strong, super strong.
It was, but I also think we see the beginnings of like in the pilot and in this episode, she really always knew that she had Spencer in her back pocket, so she could sort of do whatever. Like when she tried to start that fight, whatever with Sean, and then be like, "Sean's been at me since you left." Like, ma'am, you were there. You went to him.
Like, and then like it's kind of crazy because with Spencer, this is one goal to like thrive. While with Coop, she has Spencer, she has like his family, like they're like this, and then you have Sean who's like trying to be the bestie now. Like Coop was out here just living love. It's like provoking Sean to some degrees with their like fight. I mean, what a fight that Spencer has in episode 1,
and then coming to him and then acting like he was just gonna leave it alone, right?
Exactly. So like it was kind of this thing where Coop would like tell or like some like still like try to protect Spencer, but have Sean still hang out and give stuff to Dylan. Like it's not going to provoke Spencer. It's like you know how Spencer feels because he's protecting you against this man, and then you hang out with him like a few minutes later and make it seem like you were held at gunpoint. And you were not.
Coop season 1 as she's a little bit less lost now, but still lost, I think. But Coop season 1 is definitely just trying to figure out
everything,
what she can do. Right? Is because Spencer, again, she's trying to tell him to go for Beverly and go for these things, and you made it out. You made it out. You made it out.
You are the trenches. You are the poor. Go ahead.
Right.
I'm just like, even though he left the place.
Meanwhile, Spencer's just going Exactly. Well, and also, meanwhile, Spencer's just going back and forth. He's just been
Yeah.
going back and forth. This whole episode was Spencer going back and forth
back
between
and
the
forth,
two rooms.
back and forth, trying to teach, tutoring Dylan and stuff, and helping him with homework.
Which,
and
why
Dylan
was Dylan
like,
home alone?
right?
Grace came and was shocked that Spencer was there, so you just left 8-year-old Dylan alone.
So, what was he gonna eat? Like you made something, you ain't had food in the refrigerator. So what was Dylan gonna eat while you was away?
Legitimately.
Like, please. So,
literally.
sure.
But a lot of this was, yeah,
he was still doing it. He was still coming to Crenshaw, so it didn't even really matter.
Yeah.
It really didn't, right? Because he's spends late nights in Crenshaw. He comes back in the morning. Obviously, that was that famous Liv and Spencer scene where she walks in on him with the shower in the bathroom.
Yeah, iconic.
I just loved her reactions after the whole thing happened. Like when she came down for breakfast and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Man, that was
Yeah. And something I loved about this episode is that we really started to see the Baker family dynamic, like with everybody at breakfast, and we get like this grounding because you see, first of all, Laura called Liv Livy in a recent episode, and I was just like, is this a new nickname? And then I watched this episode, and I was just like, bro, yo, she said it all the way back
yeah,
in season
I totally
one.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Literally. So this just shows that we need more Baker scenes in where we are at present.
Yeah.
But it was good to see like Billy and Jordan on the tablet prepping for the game. Liv is in a little bit of a daze. Laura's like doing whatever Laura is doing. And you see that beginning connection between Spencer and Billy, because they keep saying the similar things about the game tape.
Yeah, Billy's like, yo, like you're like me, like I see myself in you. So that was like, and I feel like this episode alone, you kind of really see the Baker dynamic and how Spencer tries to fit in as well, because this episode, like it definitely emphasized on Spencer being poor, because this is the episode where they was going to like, were they going to the event?
The banquet.
Yeah.
The banquet.
And
He didn't have like a
the booster party. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was like a booster party. It was a booster function. And it was this whole thing that Spencer didn't own a blazer. And him not owning a blazer is wild. Especially with like where we like ended the season and like where the rest of the show has been.
Yeah.
And I felt like this episode showed us the change in direction for, I think like when this was being made, they always had a lot of like early changes. And I think this was one of them to say like, okay, like people from Crenshaw own a blazer.
They attend any events, like right. And Laura kept provoking, like, because she was like, "Yeah, well, then we'll go to Crenshaw and get your blazer."
Literally,
I started to cringe so much because I was I was cringy because I was like, "Yo, he doesn't have it." Like
they kept pushing. It's like, oh.
But I love Laura. I love Laura because she was amazing in this episode, like welcoming him into the home and like all that stuff. Like she was making him feel so. I love Laura. Yeah. She's like, she was always, from the beginning, she's always like welcomed Spencer and all that.
Yes. And I think these early episodes made me appreciate the change in direction a little bit more, because they, my cousin Ray's hand-me-downs. Oh, I don't own a blazer. Oh, I am dressed up. Like, versus... literally versus like what we got in season 4, like just jumping to prom for a second, and Spencer was just like, oh yeah, I've had this like my tux picked out since I was a kid. Even in the same season with Homecoming, like Grace getting that suit for him. So it was like, again, you see all of the early changes as they're still trying to figure out these character dynamics and who these characters are gonna be. And I'm really glad that they had writers come in and be like, okay, this is maybe we shouldn't. Spencer owns a blazer. Like Spencer knows what a blazer is.
So many suits afterwards, like
exactly.
Checking up. But the thing is that you're supposed to convince me that he's poor. 1, 2, he's not accepting any allowance, but he's collecting these suits. Somebody's lying.
Literally.
Also, would you guys have taken that money? Would you guys have if Billy gave you? Would you have taken it? Like I don't know why.
I'm gonna get into my thoughts when we.
I don't know why he did it.
4.
I don't remember, but like, I don't know why he didn't take that.
When when we get there, I have a lot of thoughts about that allowance. But yeah, basically this episode again was just like an early episode that was just, Spencer still trying to fit in at Beverly. And you really do get the early impacts of his dad too, because in the same episode he apologized to Grace and Dylan for losing a game.
Because and then plus like Asher putting like the full blame on him. First of all, the team was somewhat doing it, but more so Asher.
I wanted to lay Asher out so bad when he kept like,
and Asher's dad, and then you start to understand Asher a little bit more because his dad is so.
What
horrible.
episode was it? Was it episode 2 when like they were in the locker room and like he was saying that Spencer's not one of them after they lost the game or whatever?
Yeah, was.
Okay. Was it 2?
Was it this one? No.
I'm trying to remember.
No, it's the next one. It's the next one. It's the next one.
Because
they lost at the end.
Because that's making Spencer put all the blame on himself too. So it's like, man, like.
And to make the team see him. But this episode, like his dad also was a little racy. Too.
Oh yeah,
Kept calling him "you boys" from Crenshaw.
Racy.
Like I was like, sir, he called them Crenshaw thugs.
Yeah, the boys.
Telling Billy to like, you better not take Asher's spot. I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then that's when Harold, Asher dad,
mind yourself, Harold. That was one of the best lines. Mind yourself, Harold.
Wait, that's his name for real?
Yeah.
That's
he spoke the whole tea about how Asher and Jordan was the reason why they had like the school started to do looks and researches into like Spencer and how it was inconvenient for him to transfer over, which is why it provoked by the end of this episode, provoking Billy to make some measures into moving Spencer into their home. So like Asher and his jealous ass dad was the reason why a lot of this stuff happened. Because like the fact that he just split it up at the banquet, that was wild in itself. Because like we already had some build up amazingness with Bolivia when she was dressing him up
with the you're good at
and
making people feel better. A lot of good Bolivia moments in this.
I love when she said that like she'll stay back with him to like help him.
Yes,
pick out
and she'll
like,
handle it.
That.
And the fact that her family like just trusted her to do that. And again, like these small. I really feel like this was a really good episode for just showing.
I liked it a lot
as a good family unit, and you understand why later on in this, like so many people want to go to them for help, be it whoever in the future.
Like she
Liv is my girl. She's like, I'll handle it. And they're like, oh, okay. Yes. No, exactly, period.
Because off the bat, as soon as he shows up, she understands him. Like she didn't judge him by his past. Even her frustration towards Billy isn't reflected on Spencer. Like she's just that girl. Like I just don't know what y'all want from me. But to see her understand without even putting his information out there that he doesn't have a suit, and for her thinking the most obvious, okay, let me give my dad a suit, like have it like that, and then be like his somewhat date to the banquet, like being his reassuring soldier, like. I just can't. They eat. Like
also,
it was to set up. It was to set up the father storyline even more, right? Because it was it was oh, you and my dad are a perfect match. Them secrets was it was busted. It was busted. They did good. They did good.
Stay down,
bro.
You think I'm gonna sit here and ruin Bolivia for me? You got a thing coming down.
Right. Chemistry instantly. But I also loved at the end, because we finally get Jordan sort of saying like, you're ignoring me, right? And Olivia agreeing, and they have that whole sort of big family blow up. And then at the end, he goes to his family and talks to them and is just like, all right, you know what? I didn't ask you. And so we'll take a family vote on whether or not Spencer can stay. And you see how welcoming they truly are, because when Spencer comes back at the end, he's just like, yeah, we discussed it as his family and there's plenty for everyone. And that was just like, I love that, man. And the start of the family dinners and the ribs. And it was just, I was like, this is it. This is the one.
They are so amazing, but this also, like between like Olivia, this whole situation opens up a whole can of worms with the Layla and Olivia situation, because we find out that Asher and her had something that happened, which is what Asher continues to annoy her with, which is this persistent I can't lose my position on the team because of my sprained ankle, and then also you trying to be close with Layla because Layla, she's trying to rekindle the friendship between her and Olivia that's lost.
Right.
And I think was it the one when they had the assignment together or
yes, and we're getting to that episode next. Yeah.
So during this time, Layla tries to talk to, Olivia about what happened and try to see, more so about her mom, but I mean, I'll say that for the next episode then, because
we could go to it, but yeah, you're right. It ended on that. So a couple of cliffhangers with these secrets, because we have Liv saying, "I had to walk away from my best friend because of a drug-induced screw up." And then we get Billy. We get those flashbacks. These flashbacks were amazing.
They were good.
Because it was just like, because in the beginning it was just like, oh, Dad said he'd be here of a young Spencer or whatever, and Grace was like, oh, he's not here.
I felt so bad.
And then it went to it went back to the flashbacks at the end of the episode, and we see Billy out the corner.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yo, they were in their bag with this dad's storyline.
They knew, because I was sitting here like, how are you gonna do that to me?
Yeah, and
the crazy thing is, like, we knew he couldn't be the dad because of this connection that they established between Spencer and Olivia, but it still was just like, not is he?
Yeah, I feel like I was like, there's no way that they would do something that's like crazy and wild.
Yeah, because I mean,
like the brother and sister trope is kind of down, annoying, but they did it.
They said this will not be a Gossip Girl.
They said, let's see what we can really do with you with this. And I remember watching it when I was younger. When I started watching for the first time,
it was younger. This was like 5 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, like this is enough. I was like, God.
Yeah.
And I was like, but like, it just, like this whole episode too was just about full-on Olivia chemistry, and you're going to tell me this at the end?
Yeah.
No.
Imagine if they would have went through with that though. Like,
no, please, no. Don't even joke. Don't even joke.
That would be crazy.
I think the plan was always just to bait the audience
which was a good bait, because it got everybody talking. Everybody was going crazy, and I think everybody ended up loving the story. The storyline was good. The storyline was good. So
and it split like a lot of shippers, because a lot of shippers started to like branch off into other ships, which is why when they took, when they did the slow burn of Bolivia, a lot of people were shipping things into what happened.
Yeah.
So I remember like a few of my mutuals at the time, they were like shipping like, Olivia and Asher, or like Spencer and Layla. So they knew how to like.
I always hated them, but I actually
literally
I started shipping Spencer and Layla after I thought that there was a chance that there was a chance, because I was trying not to get, because I was so invested in Bolivia, because I loved their first meeting, like how they met and all that, and I was like, oh crap, they're gonna make it to where they're brother and sister. So I was like, no, I can't get my feelings hurt like that. So I was like, okay, let me ship.
Let me hop on this Spayla chain.
Yeah.
I have to say, we haven't really touched on this, and this is more of like an episode 4 conversation, but this dynamic between or this triangle rather between Spencer, Olivia, and Layla, really, I feel like every time I rewatch season 1, I think this thought again, is that they really almost developed like parallel relationships with Spencer, because like right after he met Olivia and had that moment in the classroom, he like talked to Layla right after that at the lunch table, and it was like these different relationships where Liv, we didn't mention this line. Obviously, it's like a really, really famous line. People talk about it all the time, so we didn't need to go in depth, right? But you're the only one who asked if I was okay. You're the first one who asked if I was okay. And then you have Layla being like, him saying you're lonely, and her like admitting that and being like, oh yeah, I am.
Yeah, because he like so the whole reading down.
Yeah. So I feel like it's very interesting how they built that up.
Yeah.
But speaking, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying they built it in a way where you can kind of see it can go either or between Olivia and Layla, which is something that, I mean, I'm happy that they did and wasn't rushing on what they're going to go with in the beginning. But it was good to see like how different they were interacting with him, even though they're best friends. So it was good that they were able to like, once again see the dynamic with Olivia and then Layla, and see which one would have been good with him at that moment. So
right. And then talking about episode 3, I obviously I think this is the first episode that was written by NK, and it was the second episode they shot or something like that. Asher's racist. We mentioned it. Him talking about fumbling the 40. We already mentioned him like getting into Spencer for the loss.
He was. I never saw a hater like hate, especially when he had
literally
a angle. Like at this time, like you already kind of see him and like Jordan have a little break because even his racism was doing too much to where Jordan was like, "All right, it's on you because clearly you got it off of this boy." And I was just like, Asher, I'm praying for your downfall. Like I can't.
Yeah,
like,
literally praying.
And then like if you think that was going to get worse, he makes a video of Spencer fumbling, and then that's when everybody started laughing at him. And then Spencer was walking in the hallway, and he's like, "What are y'all laughing at?" And it's Asher and the damn football team laughing at him dropping his ball. And then Asher gets even worse because they're doing like a little I don't know if
the football drill. The football drill.
Yeah. And he just tackles him unprovoked. Like,
yeah, it was really annoying.
It was annoying because it's just like, why are you like, why not? Come on.
And this is the first time we see Jordan like and the first time we see Jordan being like, all right, Asher, like you. And he had been coming around, but he was just like, all right, Asher, you need to chill. And Jordan was starting to fight Asher for Spencer to be like, you need to take it easy, right?
Yeah.
And also Jordan. Yeah. And because this is so. But this is also like Spencer is still living in two worlds, and you can tell, I think, in this episode that he really still hadn't accepted Beverly yet. Because he was still sort of trying to stay connected to Crenshaw. But Daniel really early on struggled with the word weekend with his British accent. He's always like, the weekends of the and like every other word be funny, like the weekends of the only time I
didn't even notice that. That's crazy.
Sometimes, because one thing about me is that I barely be noticing accents. Like,
really? Man,
it's
I can't notice.
Look, I notice it all the time. Like Daniel, obviously his British accent, Greta, her Canadian accent.
No, like Martin be like messing up in All American Homecoming. I'm just like, I don't even notice. Like, I don't notice a thing. Like, you won't.
Yeah, then I'll see someone doing an interview and they'll be like British or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like, yo, what the hell?
Literally.
It's wild, though. Like,
it is wild. It is wild. So I just had to point that out. But anyway, because Spencer doesn't want to show up to the team bonding or whatever, or is showing up because he has to go back and spend time with his family, Jordan ends up showing up to this cookout that Grace is having. And we really see Jordan trying to like integrate into Spencer's world and get to know Spencer a little bit better. He was sitting on the sidelines with Dylan, which was cute. But then he meets Patience, he meets Coop, and starts to get just a little bit of a sense of, first he's just trying to be like, oh yeah, I am from Crenshaw, but then he just ends up being himself.
Yeah.
And then Chris messes with him a little bit. Chris was going off
too
in this episode.
Too far.
Yeah. Like,
yo, him and Cam were the worst. And like,
because like once again, I'm barely into sports, but there's no way like people are that annoying when it comes to switching the team. Like, it's as if these people knew what the reason why he left. Like, Cam over here, first of all, Cam 1 minute was okay, like, oh, you coming here to show out, and then by the end of the episode, he's over here talking about something. Oh, you think you better than us? Like, where did this come from? Did Cam get in the air? Because Cam seemed like the more lesser aggressive one in this episode than Chris
he did.
was.
Yeah.
Like, Cam was just sitting here playing the game while you got Chris, Shay, and Jordan like 20.
That's what we love about these early seasons. Number one, his name is Cam Wilson here, not Watkins.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So again, it just shows you like the development of a TV show. Like all of these characters go through such transitions and differences based on what works and what doesn't. But you're right, like Cam was sort of just chilling in the background, just doing his thing.
Yeah.
In this episode, more acting like a sort of a sidekick to Chris in this episode. And Chris, I feel like for Chris, it was that Spencer was a really integral part of the Crenshaw team, and to just lose him like that in the middle of the season was probably really hard. But yeah, he was doing too much regardless. And it's like, why are you coming for Jordan so hard?
Yeah, like,
I don't understand.
Well, I get it because they are both quarterbacks. Because Chris is the quarterback and Jordan is the quarterback, so I get it. that way, but he was still doing too much. He was
doing
Yeah,
the
like,
most.
even then, like I was maybe like, okay, well maybe because like him and Spencer are cool and he's seeing how close Jordan and Spencer are, because this episode was more so building Jordan and Spencer's relationship, because Jordan starts to like shift away from Asher and starts to be more into Spencer's world because of the suspicion about Spencer, but also because he wants to build the team. As a captain of the football team, he wants to make sure that he at least makes Spencer feel comfortable. And he was like, okay, well, let me join your world. Let me see what happens at Crenshaw, which Spencer was against, but to see how easily Jordan fit in when he was like talking about the artists and rappers and stuff like that. And Chris was like, nah, like you can't be at Beverly trying to fit in with us. But I'm just like, maybe he was intimidated by their potential friendship while he's losing Spencer.
I think so,
but
yeah.
Even then, I'm just like, you didn't have to like come at him calling 85 white boys like even when Coop was calling like Jordan. What was she calling him? She kept
Carlton.
Carlton.
I think, but I think that was Chris that was calling him Carlton.
Chris Carlton. I think Coop called him like Babyface or something.
Yeah, that was
something like that. Yeah.
I was like, calm down. Like, he's just trying to vibe. He's just trying to get
somebody said El DeBar. Somebody called him El DeBar in this episode as well. But yeah, and it was interesting because it was also Jordan's introduction to again to his roots to Crenshaw, because he knew that his dad was from there but never had spent any significant time there. Obviously it was that conversation, like they got pulled over by the police on the way back from the cookout and the game. The other thing about the game, that was one of the best games, just them just sneaking onto the high school, to Crenshaw High School.
Yeah,
and then,
that was actually good. That was
a fire game.
Yeah.
It down because like even though Spencer was kind of like obviously holding on to the Crenshaw ring, and he was still like trying to hold on to like the best of both worlds, to see by the end of that episode that team came there for him, even though he was like pushing away from the team.
Yeah, including Asher, which still trash.
Yeah, and then kind of it was because he was clouded judgment. Yeah, racism was clouded judgment.
Literally.
But
the thing is, when they came to the field, Asher didn't even say he was there for Spencer. He said he was there for Jordan and all that stuff, like basically, and they like shook hands, but he didn't say anything to Spencer, I don't think.
Yeah.
Home, like.
Yeah.
No, but he still played. He still played though. I think again, he's still trash. But you saw, I think it's more as like less individual people and more as like a team. Like the team showed up for him.
Yeah.
Though they weren't like bonded as a unit. And I was gonna say this, when I was watching this, I thought that like I feel like in this episode we got like the best of Spencer and also his true character's flaw, or like the worst of Spencer. Because we got the best of Spencer near the end of this episode when he like pulled the team together and was just like, y'all have a brotherhood. I'm appreciating that. Like obviously trying to dap up Chris at the end of the episode and really trying his best to be in both worlds simultaneously. And you also have like the worst of Spencer, and Spencer's character flaw is like, I'm gonna do it all by myself. I don't need y'all. Jordan was just like, hey, let somebody else play defense. And he was like, no, I know their plays. I don't even need y'all here. It was just like, bro, they drove in LA traffic to be here for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I love Spencer down, but sometimes like accept the help. Like you cannot do this on your own. Like even
accept the help.
No, I can handle this. I'm like, you can handle all them. Stop. Enough, Spencer. Enough. But I mean, it was good to see him like realize that he has to like let Crenshaw go in some degree, at least like, or like. Even in giving them the best, like when he came with Chris and gave like tea about what Cam was slacking on in the department, and he was like, when I go against y'all in the playoffs, I want to go against the best.
I want to play the best version, and that is like Spencer at his best.
Yeah, like he said, even though you a hater, I still gotta give you my goodness. Like you're a good man. You're a good man. Low key, besides the Spencer and football beef, we have Layla, and we also Layla.
Yes, I was about to say quickly on
like
Coop. Coop came out to her parents. I still think this conversation is one of the most meaningful conversations and toughest conversations we've seen on this show, of her mom kicking her out and then Coop going to live with the Jameses. But they always told like really good, important important stories, and we meet Patience, and I don't know, it was just like that was such a tough conversation, and it still gets me when she comes out to her mom.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad though, because like you're seeing like the disconnect between Coop and her mom, because like everybody else in the outside world is calling Coop by the name she wants to be called, which is Coop, while her mother is calling her
Tamia,
yeah. And like
Tamia.
you see that it's like a disconnect. Like even when she went to like the church when her mom was doing choir, which is where you see Patience for the first time. You see that her mom was like, "Oh yeah, we're going out, and me and your father, so don't have a party, don't have anybody there, no boys." Like, ma'am, like still trying to push on that, like, "Oh, maybe you're into boys thing."
Yeah.
No, ma'am, she does not like men. I want you to understand that. But and you kind of see like how her mom is more so really against Coop being obviously a lesbian, and seeing that maybe like saying no prayers would change that, and more so. How she doesn't condone any Coop being able to express herself in her home, to where she was out here freaking out about Patience and Coop, especially when they were like when she came over to her house and they had to
spend the night,
yeah, spent the night,
and then said don't hang around her, as if hanging around hers.
Yeah, I really hated I hated how her mom acted like so much. Like it made me feel so uncomfortable because of her mom. Like her mom just made me feel uncomfortable. Like I hated it so much.
Yeah. And it's kind of a weird thing, but it's so realistic because people go through this, still now in this day and age.
Yeah, literally every day, brother.
Yeah, and like to see her mom like blame Patience and saying like, "Oh well, everybody at the choir heard about her. She's trouble." And it's just because she's more freely able to express that she's either bi or pan, or she's not afraid to, whatever she is functionally, or if she's a lesbian as well. Like to see her mom just fully trash Patience, but if Patience never came, what would you have been saying? Because you seem to be enjoying her when she's singing in the choir. So why now, when it's coming to being with your daughter, that's when you're side eyeing her and saying that she's not welcome here?
Yeah.
And it was just so it was so frustrating to watch, just like this mom like fully not support her daughter's decisions, and even like, come on, you've been pushing it for how long? Like it's like you knew, but you just was in denial, and then to the point that you had to push your daughter out, which had nowhere to go.
That was so wrong.
Which is like insane, right? If you can't abide by my rules, it was just it was one of the toughest conversations, but also like Coop standing up to her mom, and then obviously like being welcomed by this is one of, as a self-described like not a fan of Grace James, this is one of my favorite moments from her, is just like welcoming Coop into her home, and like just that hug that she and Spencer have, and like I just felt so bad for Coop in that moment.
Like it was good, and how welcoming they were as well, because like Coop been telling trying to have Spencer find a new home, like Crenshaw, and the whole time she was losing her own home. And to see like with this, like in the first these episodes and prior, you see Spencer like mention like, "Oh, you're going to talk to your mom about coming out, or like how long you're going to hide it?" And then Coop kept saying, "Well, everybody should know that I'm gay." To then see that like her mom is still denying it, and now her finally standing up to her mom and telling her like, "This is who I am," either accept it or not. Her mom kicks her out, and like having your own flesh and blood like look at you that way and just treat you like you're trash and disposing you, that really hit home. And it was one of the toughest but amazing storylines there is, because once again, I feel like a lot of shows have a lot of come out storylines, but this one especially,
but they gloss over it. They don't go like as in depth what like this show did.
And especially in the black community, seeing it like be handled in a way that mostly happens in black communities, it was amazing. I would say even though it was cringy, it was realistic in a degree. And I love how she still had someone to be there for her, which is Grace. Even though Grace was annoying me in the next episode, Grace she did do a good job at welcoming Coop. So
and I think you made an excellent point too about just conversations we don't get to see on screen. I think this is probably out of the 4 episodes, this is probably my favorite, in terms of the whole batch of 4. Because also something that I forgot to touch on is that like Spencer and Jordan got stopped, and us seeing the conversation, because that's another thing that we didn't really see on television, is a conversation that happens with parents after your black son or daughter gets stopped by the police. And then Jordan talking about colorism, right? Like Jordan saying, like, if I had looked like Spencer, would you have had that conversation with me earlier? And so just really important conversations, obviously showing the thing with Jordan, showing how Coop's mom handled like kicking her out, but then also like being accepted by the Jameses. And then again, just really, really great conversations. And then another what I think is a really good storyline, because I love them both, with Liv and Layla, which we really excited to talk about. But yeah, they do an assignment together, and Layla gets the teacher to get them that assignment together. Number one, off the bat.
So cute.
Billy was so excited.
Yo, he was
like, "Oh God, I used to watch these movies."
He wanted to watch that movie so bad.
Aren't you a Cypher?
He literally was like, "I'll help you guys with the assignment. I know something about Shakespeare stuff." I'm like, "Remain calm."
Yes.
But okay, Billy.
Let me go make some popcorn. Let me, what about movie? Yeah, he was just too hyped.
Be a good host.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, he was funny.
He was just like, Layla, please stay. No, so the other thing is just like, I'm sure that for any friend period, like Liv probably hadn't had a friend over. Nevertheless, her, as we know now, her best friend, who she called her, who they weren't friends at the time.
Yeah.
It was like really interesting to see them try to build their friendship back up from like the beginning, right? Like, oh, I have your drink order memorized, I have Liv's drink order memorized, to them watching this movie, to being like, you cry at every movie. Like, we start to get the background of these people, like these two women who had been pretty standoffish, and Spencer had noticed it earlier and said something, and sort of like they both like just didn't address it, right? We didn't address it, and this was like the episode to address this like tension that we saw between those two girls, completely apart from Spencer. Like, Spencer was there, but it was like you got the sense that there was something more there. And obviously Liv talked about it when she talked to Asher, but it was so interesting because it was like, even with the movies, I was just like, number one, does Layla still cry at the end of every movie?
Yeah, like I'm like, what if it's a horror movie? Like, you don't
right?
know.
Yeah, like.
Like, I just chose a movie that's emotional, but what if it was like a funny movie? You don't know. And
literally,
I just feel like it was a good thing to see like Layla and Olivia's dynamic opposed from them. Obviously both feeling Spencer. It wasn't that stereotypical storyline of two girls that's best friends that fall out over a guy.
Yeah.
But it's more so in a degree. Reason why Olivia separated herself was because of Asher and his Definitely.
Right.
But it was good to see that like Layla still wanted to, get back with her as a friend. Like, she missed that connection with them. And you see that Olivia misses it too, even though she's trying to like push away because of Asher keep whispering in her ear about, we can't let this.
Exactly.
It's gonna tear us apart. I'm like, no, it's just gonna tear you apart, because she was literally not even like in it. Like, she was literally, but like, okay, Asher. But to see them like work on this project, and then to see like, Layla kind of want to see where, Olivia is still at, and to find out that Olivia was like, oh yeah, I was so like drug induced that I don't even remember what happened, because Layla was trying to figure out if she remembered about her mom passing away 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, Olivia didn't like, she kind of processed it and was like, oh my God, like, your mom passing away, and Layla was like, I don't really need your pity at all. To then have this like amazing scene of them at the end.
Amazing scene. It's one of my favorites to this day.
Yeah, and they had like roses, and they were crying, and that was one of like, this episode was definitely the best one out of the four, because 3 emotional, like understandable like storylines happened between dealing with discrimination, with police and also family, and then also seeing like you deal with grieving her mother, to then having her best friend back during his most vulnerable time. It was just constant bangers. And I was even getting emotional when they were obviously at the bench watching over, the city.
Same.
Because she needed someone who knew her. And obviously, Olivia knows her because they've been close since they were younger and for a long ass time. And having her at this moment was such a good thing for her, especially when she wanted to, obviously build back that friendship between them that's been separated because of something that she doesn't know yet. to then see how Olivia was like, no, I'm gonna be there for you. They had roses. I don't know if they like. I wonder what they did with the roses. If they threw it over, like I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, it was just like,
and then
just
just
nice.
like laying their heads on each other. It was just such a beautiful moment. I think on this, first of all, you explained that better than I ever could. I don't even basically have anything to add. I'm like, you done covered it. Usually I gotta fight for my life. I'm kidding.
That came out like
exactly. No, the only thing I was gonna say is on this rewatch, I think I realized like Liv and Layla in season 1, pre-season 1, I was just like, it's just like the story of two high schoolers grieving. Like between Liv feeling alone within her family and then Layla losing her mom. It was just like you realize that they were both in such tough spots where we start off the show. And this episode and this episode was a really great way to like establish that story, establish that background. What'd you think, Arlon?
Nah, I mean, I agree. And I just explained it really well. Like, I wish they would, like, I wish they had more Olivia and Layla scenes, though. Like, I feel like for them to be best friends, I feel like they haven't had, like, a lot of scenes. Like,
especially not in present day. Yeah.
Yeah, like, definitely in present day. But even then, like, I can't really remember, like, any amazing scenes that those two have had, like, that just come right out. If I, like, bring up those two, I can't really pinpoint a moment that is just like, wow, that's a great moment for them. But
I feel like in the next episode, the scenes that they have is more so towards pushing Olivia towards Spencer.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is something that, like, I feel like one thing that really, once again, I do love their friendship. And I feel like, like, some degree, I wish they had more of, like, intenseness, like, in the like relationship to why it would have been more hurting for, like, you know, the season 3 storyline or the season 2 storyline, opposed to just, like, having an episode emphasized on it. But this episode alone really showed, like, how both of them needed each other, when they were going through a lot.
Yeah.
And it also kind of was like a little development, because in the beginning of the episode, when they were like having that little movie thing, I think it was either Olivia or Layla that was like, "Oh, this is kind of like awkward," and it was Olivia that said,
Olivia,
"This is kind of awkward," and Layla was like, "Well, Nana feels awkward," to now like them, laying with each other without any awkwardness. It really showed the closeness, and I was like, that was a good bow to what they were saying earlier in the episode. But it's kind of wild though, because like right now they should be talking about their processes in the next episode, but instead it was about Spencer and that damn party.
I know, and we're getting into the next episode. I will say a lot of their, I think, at least for me, because one thing I'm known for, I love Lay Livia down. I have been 10 toes down for this since the jump.
Like, I love them. I just wish they had more.
I think a lot of their good scenes came in season 1, and we'll get to it when we get to parts. What is this? It's probably going to be like 3 and 4. Some of the latter half of the season is more where we get those moments. But yes, episode 4. Ciao. Asher ain't paying his cut. Asher ain't paying his cut. Asher is broke, but he's having a party anyway.
And I really like this episode though for Asher. Like, I don't know, it was especially for Asher and Spencer, for them to like.
Yeah, I feel like Spencer was too nice.
He was way too nice, but I like seeing them like come to some understanding, in a way, and I like seeing Spencer help him out, and Asher see like a part of his like Spencer's world and all that stuff. So I like that.
Yeah, I do like that, because me personally, I would have said, "Oh,
I would have been like, oh, I'm out. Like, you gotta fix that."
You said me personally, I would not have.
Because like in the beginning of the episode, he literally was calling him broke because of his allowance money. Telling him, "Are you gonna put the allowance money or safekeeping at the dare table?" Oh, right. Then you needed somebody to help fix the car that you don't even own. Look at that.
Talk about it.
You don't even go here.
You can literally see his face when JJ and who was it in there? Yes. Oh, Spencer and JJ were in the car. Remember? And then Asher came out. He was like, you can see his face. His face was like, His heart went down to his ass. But I liked how Spencer automatically knew like that Asher was broke. Like that was crazy, So
I feel like he saw himself in that situation with the like trying to live up thing, because the whole episode of episode 4 was Spencer trying to live up to this image that he's Beverly Hills ready, when in reality he's not. He can't afford a lot of the stuff, because like Jordan was telling Billy, like, I'm over my allowance because I had to pay for, Spencer, and it's kind of hard to then see him watching Asher try to live this I'm rich life when he's not. He's literally renting out this Airbnb basically, and he can't image anything. He doesn't have family pictures up, so he's living this facade, just like how Spencer was. Only in this episode, though, Spencer had to talk from Grace, and Grace was like, no. How Grace was really annoying, but whatever.
Yeah, I have to say, switching to talking about being broke and Spencer, this allowance conversation.
Oh yeah, for the allowance.
Part of it was also that Spencer, like you said, just like Asher was trying to keep up an image. Spencer was just trying to fit in. He was trying to do what the team wanted him to do and what he hasn't done up until this point, like show up to the team bonding, different things like that. And it really bothered me that Grace got pissed off at Spencer for accepting allowance.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
You send Spencer to live. First of all, you lied to him. Exactly. You lied to him.
Yep.
To send him to Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. And then you expect him to not
be broke.
Yeah, like how's he supposed to fit in and get stuff? Listen,
you have to earn it. Yeah, well then by the time I earn it, the team will think that I'm purposely avoiding them because I can't afford to play pool.
Yeah.
Just making his life unnecessarily hard. Yeah, and I think on top of this, as we know later on in the season, right, Grace is a hypocrite. But so to have this sort of prideful moral high ground of not accepting quote unquote charity from Billy Baker when you're the one who begged Billy Baker to take him in anyway.
Yeah.
You're letting your son live in someone else's house.
Exactly, bro.
Oh, well, that's not.
She's like, oh, but allowance? That's too much. You better.
That you gonna keep giving him BuzzFeed money? If I recall,
Billy Baker brought me groceries. Okay,
yes. And some of them you can pay him back, sis. In the first episode, you didn't have cold, you didn't have hot water. So
and you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, this is beyond episode 4. But now that I'm thinking about it, she probably was just finally getting a conscience and oh, I slept with this woman's husband, and now she's like, damn, I low key almost could have stolen her. Maybe this is a little. Maybe I'm crossing the brown boundary a little bit.
Yeah. Even then, she shouldn't even be taking her frustration out because that made Spencer go through all this extra stuff to where he did the game, and then you couldn't even be satisfied that you got some food in the house. Some oxtails really had you mad. Cook it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she went because Dylan is there alone. At least Dylan needs food to eat. So
exactly.
While you doing your late shifts, it made me so annoyed because that's what made Spencer have this oh, I gotta do this and this for my family because look what Grace is doing.
Yeah.
He's mad at him for
and
bringing
the Bakers have the money. And Billy was offering it to him a bunch of times. So I don't know. It just she shouldn't have been mad at him because anybody would take the money because one, he needs the money. He's a high schooler and they're going out to places. So how is he supposed to I'm sure he probably felt horrible having to have Jordan pay for him, and he never I don't think she really thought about how he felt when the bill came and all that stuff.
And he pulled out to $2 or $3.
And then Billy. The other thing was Billy telling Jordan, "Oh, he doesn't need you to pay for him," and it's clearly he does because he can't cover his bill, which is why you gave him the allowance. So Billy
I'm
was
what?
Too, for a second.
I guess he meant it's not. Maybe he realized that I need to help.
Yeah.
Right.
Jordan, being trying to have responsibility.
I thought he had already given him the money or something before that. Had already been giving him money because that line was weird.
No, yeah, he had it, but it was that thing that it was just I feel like it would have come across better if he had said something just don't worry about it anymore, and then just going straight to the he's your responsibility. And he's because he lives under my roof. But him saying don't pay for him was just really because it's just if you don't pay for him, he not gonna eat, honey.
Yeah.
Bring a pre-made sandwich to the hookup.
Do y'all think it was smart for him to give him all that cash, or you think he should give him a card or something?
I I think
Yeah, I
that
think she was
he
good.
assumed that Spencer was very responsible. I don't think anybody thought that Spencer would blow that amount of money.
No, I don't think about like
Yeah.
blowing it, but like maybe him
Like, if
getting
he didn't-
robbed or something like that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you know, like
But again, I think he just thought that he was responsible and that he
Yeah,
wouldn't be
true.
carrying around
Yeah.
a wad of cash.
yeah.
But he thought wrong.
I just feel like giving him all that money. Though.
I
He
wonder
said
how
he
much
was going-
money that was.
I think it was like at least like 500. It was at least 500.
You
at
500?
least.
No, it was
Yeah.
like 5,000.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah,
No.
so
That was definitely like $5,000 of that thing.
yeah, because he bought a bunch of those oxtails. So
Get out of here! We think Oxtail like 2,000.
Because don't forget,
100%.
like he had to pay for the car. It could have been more because he had to pay for the car.
oh yeah,
he still
like,
had money to pay for the car. It was a lot of money.
Yeah, he just.
It had to be close to.
That.
I'm gonna say 5,000. I'm gonna say 5,000.
He was giving Spencer the bag.
Right.
He was.
He spent it on Asher.
Craziness.
Wow.
But yeah, obviously Asher and Spencer bonded. We had a lot of great Spencer and Olivia moments. I didn't even notice this moment before, but there's a moment with in the intro where they're walking down the hall, like Spencer and Jordan and Asher and JJ or whatever, and Liv is looking at Spencer walk down the hall. And I'm like, I didn't even notice that before.
And then she was like, oh, you're trying to fit in. She's like, oh, I see you trying to fit in with the rich kids. And he was like,
Yes, and
Yeah.
you just get their connection instantly with the
Yeah, but the thing is that this episode did an amazing job on that as well, and it wasn't even just them. Layla and when Ann Coop was like, they both said that her and Spencer are just the same because
Mhm.
you know they was like, oh yeah, I can stay home or whatever, and you know, Coop
Yeah.
also was like Spencer can stay home, and they're like they're just the same, and that's why Layla was like, oh well, you'll be the perfect person to get Spencer out the house to come to
Yeah.
the party, like showing that they're literally the same, which is so matey
Exactly.
to me, but
No,
It really
you're
was-
like completely right. And I think
that's like-
there was just a really great amount of dialogue in this. Like, did you make a wrong turn? Yeah, like 3. Right, you got rules like Kershaw, like just so many good things. You the boss. Like, I don't know. This episode 8, the dialogue 8. Well, let me say this. This episode was slower, but the dialogue was really good. Like, I felt like this was a filler episode. Like, they were just like, oh, what can we do in between like all of the major drama? And it was more of a filler episode, but like the dialogue was so good.
Mm-hmm. Especially that party. The party itself that's where the big
The hot
fireworks
tub.
started to come off for real.
The hot tub.
And she said, "Turn around,
Turn
yeah,
around.
that's
You're
crazy.
like, oh,
turn around." Like, can you be serious? Like, Felicia just, I don't know what. It was cracking that scene because I didn't even know what to say when I was rewatching. I was like, wow, like it still gets me as if I watched it for the first time.
It was
But
good.
yes, it's so
Yeah.
good, so good.
Yeah, especially when like she's like she's a little like nervous on pursuing her emotions because she
But then she
knows-
becomes confident. It's like the first time we see like confident Olivia as she's like stripping down to get into the hot tub. Yeah, it was really cute.
Exactly. Like she was all confident, got her little pin up stuff.
Sexy,
like,
yeah. She was like,
she was ready. And
"You're
then like
all ready for you."
she said, hot tub summer, but Jordan came and like
And then the like, are you
Jordan.
gonna turn around? Are you gonna turn around?
like I just feel like, especially with like that confidence scene really got me. Like I felt so amazed for her because especially when she was saying to Layla like, oh yeah, even though I like him, he clearly feeling you, and to see her like take this confidence and like, okay, well this is my time to like really show him, at least I'm interested or give my emotions through, and then see them.
No, you're good because you're making me think things. Because I'm like, one of the things that still gets me about this episode, and I think I've thought this on my last couple of rewatches, is what were they doing for the 10 minutes that we went back to the party? Like they were literally just sitting in the hot. So everybody's mad at Jordan, and I am one of those people that's mad at Jordan. Like I hate Jordan for interrupting that.
Yeah.
But also, we should low key also like be mad at Spencer because he was just sitting there like staring at her, and she was just like, "So, are you gonna kiss me or not?"
Because what were they doing?
They were doing. Remember, because
They were
she literally
vibing,
is
you
just
know?
like, they were not vibing. They were not, she was trying to get the vibes going.
They were talking about
He was just like, "Oh," Spencer was like, "Oh, so what should we do?" And she was just like, "What?" And she was just like, "Well, most people do other stuff." And like,
God, the buzz.
the buzz it gets me every time. No, it was a good good one.
They knew not to mess with like that chemistry. Was just oh my god.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
Like that was a moment in history. I was like, yeah, that's definitely it right there. Like you have to be joking.
Yeah, and I wonder where it would have gone if Jordan didn't interrupt them, and if they didn't think that they were related. So because
low key, who do you think would have kissed first? I think Olivia would have probably put the boots in motion.
I think Olivia was leading the charge. Because Spencer
I think
more,
I think Spencer's respectable, and he wouldn't want to he would want her to make the first move. So yeah, I think that's how it was.
He was like flabbergasted. I feel like he was like, whoa. Like,
yeah, it was crazy. And then when Liv was just like, it took a lot for me to come out tonight. I was like,
exactly. No. Especially when she was already like on the get-go with Layla, because she was like, I just came from rehab. I can't go to a party. Yeah. And Layla was like, well, I won't drink with you in solidarity. You should come. And to see this like her first thing of like coming out since rehab, and to go talk to this guy that she likes and make a move, and her brother come in and be like, hey, stop, let's go. He's your brother. Like I
know this stupid but great storyline of Billy being the dad just like ruining everything. It was literally like 4 straight episodes of Billy being the dad cliffhangers.
Yeah, and it's funny because like with like Jordan, like he's on his own side quest of like going into Billy's computer and calling the Crenshaw Trust to see who is he wiring these bank funds for. And, once he tells Olivia, like, okay, I'm sus. I think he's our brother. And Olivia's like, how? And then to have Olivia by the end of the episode call, and she somehow, she just knows
the beginning of the twins breaking the law.
Looks at one picture thing.
Literally. But that's what I'm saying. It's the beginning of the twins just breaking the law and doing whatever they want.
They
said, I will commit fraud, and I will do it easily because my dad is stupid enough to have on his jerseys.
Yeah, like Billy is dumb because he redialed the number that Jordan
and then just leaves it alone
and looks suspicious and was like, okay.
And not only that, he's dumb because they straight up asked him. Honestly, a lot of this could have been solved if he would have just been upfront with them when they went and asked. He was just like, "Oh, I heard that you and Grace James had a little thing going on," which Jordan had found out in the previous episode at the barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally just lies straight to their face.
He was like, yeah, we hang out with some people, but I wouldn't say.
Yo, that was the craziest. That's the farthest from the truth.
He didn't even have to admit they dated. All he had to say was, "Oh yeah, we were close in high school."
But he said like they barely even knew each other.
Literally.
And like he said, I barely even went there. Like he was so annoying. And then you got her Olivia finding out that he's been spending like $650 for 17 years or whatever.
Yeah, which I feel like that's not enough for child support, but go off.
Yeah, I was like, why did they just tell you that? Like, first of all, okay, cool, but it was just wild because like Billy literally lied. The thing is that I feel like Billy must have realized the severity of it because this is a time where Laura is also obviously trying to get
the campaign
the campaign.
And things were coming out, and people had told him to his face, like, be prepared, exactly. Things are going to come up.
They said everything will be coming out, so your little affair will be coming out. He was sitting there like, oh, everything's coming out? And I'm just like, yeah, so why didn't you tell your kids, bro?
Exactly.
You say you lied and talking about something, it was just dandelions in the spring, like, oh God.
Meanwhile, Sean is just hilarious.
Sean is like, I literally feel like rewatching now, and he's not even a threat. Like, no, he's literally a joke.
He's so chill. He's funny too.
Yeah, I feel like
Rock and Roll want some. I love it.
Like he was too hype. Like, I was like, sir, that dry ass.
Yeah, looking back, he was really a great character.
Looking back, like when I first watched, I was intimidated, but I feel like
really, I've always loved Sean.
Yeah, like I feel like he was intimidating at first when I watched, but now realizing, I feel like with Coop, it was definitely a soft spot for him in this case because, like, even though he's trying to do this tough exterior, like, every time he does something with Coop, I can never take him serious now because he's like, oh well, it might be your money now, but you had to help. Is mine. Like, you won't. Like, or like even when he had Coop deliver that like package to the older
the sandwich,
I was like, yo.
like he's trying to have her prove her loyalty to him, and I'm just like, sir, you're one of the most like softest gangsters I've seen in my life.
I love when he got her
Yeah.
the job and all that. Like,
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
Like who was expecting like the worst job ever?
Yeah.
Just show me how you cut. But once again, it's like, you know, even though, you know, Spencer's not here for her that much, you know, somebody else came in, which is her other old childhood friend, Sean, coming in to like make sure she's provided for,
Right.
and he gets her a job, you know, as a barber. And once again, you find out that it's some kind of cahoots, because while he has his money saved at the laundromat, he has his money also saved in Alvin's barbershop, which is now, I guess, going to be Coop's money until she kind of, you know, questioned his motives. But it was wild. But once again, I can't believe I was so intimidated by Sean. I was like, he's our villain.
Yeah.
Until you get to like Tyrone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Sean is really...
Yeah.
Oh, bruh. Can you imagine
Sean.
watching an episode of Sean? That's kind of sad.
It is.
That's why I was scared of the rewatches. I'm just like, that moment, I remember watching it and I was crying. I was like,
yeah.
Ah.
It was so sad.
It was sad because like that was one of the friends that really, like, when Spencer was gone, that was one of her friends that she made. Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where like even though he taught her a lot when, you know, Spencer was away, and that was it. But and then also Spencer, he finally decides after his mom dragged him for taking Billy's money, he's gonna get himself a job.
Yeah, he did get himself a job. And again, I think it was like you could see the difference in direction from the first, I want to say like 2 episodes or whatever, to the second 2, is that they've just fleshed out the characters a lot more. And it wasn't like people from Crenshaw are gangbangers, people from Crenshaw are poor. It was just like, you know, people don't always choose the life that they're living in. Sometimes they are just stuck in their situation. And Spencer understands the value of money, and he knows what a blazer is.
Yeah.
No, because that blazer thing, I swear, like I was watching it and I was like, y'all don't understand his like the sadness in his voice about the blazer. He was like, yeah, I don't have a blazer here. I'm gonna go home. Oh, the blazer ain't there either. Oh, so
right.
I was a blazer, damn it. Like, how many times he gotta spit it out for you? Like, he don't have a blazer.
I'm surprised Billy did pick up on it. Like, you know, out of everybody.
Yeah, they really could have just stopped at a store or two.
He said the rich mindset in, because there ain't no damn way that Billy gave like Spencer like damn near $6K.
Right.
And was like, oh, you spent that money? No, and the fact that he heard that Spencer spent that money was like, oh, okay. You spent it? I'm like, what? He just spent like 6 bands and that's okay in one day? He was just like, okay, well, I didn't know you needed that much. Like,
literally.
You just throwing money like
but
that?
But again, it
like,
just shows how much it was nothing. It was how much it was nothing to them, which is again why Grace freaking out about it was just annoying. But on that, I think one of the last things was that, you know, then that Liv says like it was just a dare at the Asher Adams party with Spencer after she thinks that Spencer could be her brother. She doesn't really believe it, but she's just like,
she's like,
there's
she
a
said,
pause.
I'm gonna watch out. But like when he was like want to talk about it, she was like, oh, we're cool, like, we're cool. And I'm like, no.
the look. Which did y'all notice before Spencer's look at her or whatever? Did you notice Billy's look at when Spencer was like, "Oh, I gotta talk to you," and it was about the money, but Billy looked over at Olivia like, "What's she about to say?"
Oh my god! Like, I just like that angst though. Like, it was a little subtle, like Olivia angst, and I ate it up. Like, because she was like, because he really wanted to talk about it. Cause like, what could he possibly say besides that? I mean, the little thing being stopped early. He must have wanted to talk about something, and she was like, "Oh no, it was nothing." He's like, "Oh, so we're cool?" I'm like, "No, you're not cool."
He said, "No, because I'm not cool."
Right,
I'm not okay with this. Yeah.
No, for real. Like, and then like, might as well get into it fully, because would I have accepted that allowance money? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would have accepted that allowance money.
I would have spent it too. I would have accepted the allowance.
Yeah.
Right.
Mind your business, Grace.
I know Grace would have went home and barbecued the shit out of myself.
Right.
What is so wrong about having something in
Yeah.
Like,
You know, Spencer
girl,
could have went out and bought like 10 blazers with that. Like,
no, for real, like,
There
he
you
could have
go.
been checking up, but instead he helped Asher the racist.
that's crazy.
Like,
Literally.
personally, I would have said, damn, Ash, like, you didn't check, like,
Bought
you
some
really let
groceries
JJ
and helped
drive.
Asher, like, be for real. And played a game. And played a game.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
Listen, Asher, he wouldn't have got dirt. It should have been JJ. JJ, like, rich, ain't he? He's like,
JJ is
Yeah, I feel like
really
everybody
rich.
is rich, so like he could have called like
Yeah.
so like.
Right. JJ said this is how you drive a car and then drove it off the road. It should have been his.
Oh, yeah, it was JJ's fault. So I'm surprised JJ didn't pay for it.
Yeah, I mean he banished. He said out loud, please.
Right, he
Yeah.
never showed up. Like, he said, oh, wow, the car crashed. Oh, jump there. And then did, like, never saw him again.
Right.
Now I'm just like,
Legitimately.
JJ, you're insane.
Right.
And it kills me because it zoomed in on him not putting it in park.
I
And
know.
I was like,
on the parking brake because it was on a hill.
yes. I was like, yeah, he's losing that car ASAP.
Yeah.
And then you just
Yeah,
see
it's
Asher on the Asher sit down on the floor like, wow, I'm done for. I'm just like, yeah, deserved. After been
It was a really
had-
good-
Yeah, it was good for him to learn.
Oh no, I was
something,
gonna
to
say it was a
learn-
really good filler episode. There were a lot of good moments.
Yeah.
There were
Yeah.
a lot of good moments.
It was definitely good.
But with these set of 4 episodes, it showed us like the key people in Spencer's life focused on Coop joining the gangs, but trying to survive in Crenshaw without Spencer. Built up Spencer and Jordan, started to build up Spencer and Jordan's dynamic. Showed us Asher being really, really frustrating. I'd say probably the first antagonist of the show, like someone who's gonna cause some problems for Spencer. But also showed us how hurt Chris was in Crenshaw. Hints at the little triangle, which we all acknowledge, but also Liv trying to adjust to life outside of rehab, Layla being lonely, and them trying to get their dynamic back on track. And then just like a ton of Billy and Grace.
And no one needs, by the way, like, I wanted them to stop because at this point, y'all was giving Olivia, like, unnecessary
I
stuff.
agree.
Because,
Yeah.
I
like,
agree. Let's dead
like,
this.
y'all didn't
Let's
have
dead
to
this
do
dad storyline, which they do.
Did
It's a
it.
set of
like,
episodes.
ASAP.
With the next
Had
set
me
of
like,
episodes. Yes, but this was a good set. This was a good set for sure. For
You
sure.
just said,
Yeah.
can't wait to see what the next mess going to be on the next
Stay
set.
tuned. Stay tuned for us talking about the next set.